Michael C. Hall's recent comments about the New York Ripper in Dexter, Resurrection Season 2 have made it clear that the sequel show is redoing a killer from Dexter Season 6. The New York Ripper was teased as a major antagonist at the end of Dexter, Resurrection Season 1, and we now know more about him heading into Dexter, Resurrection Season 2. The Ripper's real name, for instance, is Don Frampt, and he'll be played by legendary actor Brian Cox. As Resurrection Season 2 steadily approaches, fans have been treated to even more information about the New York Ripper. Michael C. Hall recently made a comment about the serial killer that could have major implications on the Dexter show story going forward. Those comments also made it very clear that the New York Ripper seems to be inspired by a different killer hailing from the original Dexter. The New York Ripper seems very similar to the Tooth Fairy from Dexter Season 6. During an interview with Screen Rant, Michael C. Hall revealed a few new details about the New York Ripper and, more specifically, his personality. Hall described the New York Ripper as a nasty piece of work while also explaining that he's been at it for a long time. Based on those comments, the New York Ripper seems to be an older man with an abrasive and rude personality. They're both unique in different ways. I think the New York Ripper he's been at it for a long time. A lot of it is in his past, but he is a nasty piece of work, and the five-borough killer is more in his youth. He's blossoming. He's more of, as far as Dexter's concerned, an aspiring serial killer. I don't know that Dexter would actually grant him that designation yet. So sort of two characters, both nasty but at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of their journey. Hall's comments on the New York Ripper also support some set photos of Resurrection Season 2 that depict the Ripper as being nasty. In those photos, Don Frampt is dressed slovenly, with food stains on his shirt. He's also confined to a mobility scooter, likely due to his old age, which he has decorated with bumper stickers. One of those stickers reads, "Gas, grass, or ass, no one rides for free," while others are silhouettes of strippers. Based on the set photos and Hall's quote, it seems like the New York Ripper is a sad former serial killer who is stuck in the past and reliving his glory days by making calls to the families of his victims. Everything Resurrection has revealed about the character so far paints Don as a crass, mean, and slovenly old man who can't live up to the legend of the New York Ripper moniker anymore. All of that sounds extremely similar to a villain from the original Dexter, the Tooth Fairy. The Tooth Fairy, real name Walter Kenny, was briefly featured in Dexter Season 6. Kenny operated as a serial killer who would rip teeth out of his victims' mouths. Dexter explained that as a child, he idolized the Tooth Fairy and his ability to evade capture even while taunting law enforcement, such as when he dumped a body on the sheriff's lawn. Once Dexter found him as an old man, however, Kenny turned out to be nothing like the legend Dexter had created. Kenny was a crass old man who was rude, mean, and downright pathetic. By the time Dexter found him, he couldn't even extract teeth anymore, and he had gotten exceptionally sloppy in his kill routine. Now, it looks like Dexter, Resurrection is setting the New York Ripper up for almost exactly the same reveal as the Tooth Fairy, where he's built up as a legendary killer only to be revealed as a sad and mean old man. What Michael C. Hall's comments about the New York Ripper mean for Dexter, Resurrection Season 2 Zach Dilgard / copyright Paramount Plus with Showtime / courtesy Everett Collection. Michael C. Hall's comments created a fairly clear comparison between the New York Ripper and the Tooth Fairy, and those similarities could have a big effect on Dexter, Resurrection Season 2. In Dexter Season 6, the Tooth Fairy was used to show Dexter that his life as a serial killer could lead him to a future where he ends up as a sad old man all alone, with only his memories of his kills to keep him company. The New York Ripper could serve much the same purpose in Resurrection, and he could end up pushing Dexter to double down on his relationship with Harrison. Of course, Don Frampt's story in Resurrection Season 2 won't play out exactly the same as the Tooth Fairy's did. For one, Dexter idolized the Tooth Fairy since he was a child, and he's only just recently discovered the New York Ripper, so the latter won't be nearly as much of a disappointment. Additionally, the Tooth Fairy was only in Dexter for a single episode, but the New York Ripper seems like he'll be around for at least an entire season, especially considering Brian Cox's casting. Dexter, Resurrection almost surely also has a few surprises up its sleeve for the New York Ripper. One of those surprises is the other serial killer Michael C. Hall mentioned, a younger, up-and-coming murderer dubbed the Five-Borough Killer. It seems that Resurrection Season 2 is positioning itself as an opportunity for Dexter to both reflect on his past and his early days as a killer through the Five-Borough Killer and to meditate on his future through the New York Ripper. Yet another difference separating the Tooth Fairy and the New York Ripper is Claudette Wallace. Wallace is actively hunting the Ripper and has an almost unhealthy obsession with him. Though Dexter stole the Ripper's file from Leon Prater's vault, she'll likely still be on Frampt's tail. Wallace could be a huge threat to Dexter in Resurrection Season 2, and her investigation could really complicate his relationship with Frampt in new and interesting ways. Dexter, Resurrection Season 2 redoing the Tooth Fairy is a break from tradition. The similarities between the New York Ripper and the Tooth Fairy are especially surprising given Dexter, Resurrection's showrunner, Clyde Phillips. Phillips previously worked as the showrunner of Dexter for its first 4 seasons, but he left before Season 5 began. He eventually returned to the franchise as a showrunner and executive producer for New Blood, Original Sin, and Resurrection, and once he did, he began trying to undo the last 4 seasons of Dexter. Phillips' work to undo Dexter Seasons 5 through 8 began immediately in New Blood. He had Hannah McKay, Dexter's love interest from Season 7, killed off from